In this video, we're going to show you how to install the intercooler on your Ford F-150 located behind the radiator. With the vehicle raised and supported, up underneath here on the passenger side, you're going to find the two intercooler pipes right here, and there are hose clamps here. I want to go ahead and use our 9/32, or you can use a flathead screwdriver to loosen these clamps. I'm just using a little socket with my stubby ratchet in there. Go ahead and give those hoses a wiggle. Well, what we're experiencing here on our particular vehicle, we do have some oil here. That's indicative that one of our turbos is not working properly. It's getting some blow by. So that's definitely a concern. I'm going to go ahead and loosen the other clamp on the other side as well. Not always necessary, but at this particular time, we're going to go ahead and do so. And pop that right off. Once again, this isn't always necessary, but it does take some frustration out of the job just for a couple extra seconds. On the passenger side here, we have the lower tube. Once again, two clamps. And these are 9/32. All right, we have these two loose. What I'm going to do is try and pop this lower hose here, slide it back, and then work this all off. All right, so this comes off. Just work your pocket screwdriver around the perimeter, releasing that. There we go, pop that hose right off. We have an electrical connector right over here. There's a tab or pinch tab on the back side. Normally you can just press down on that and disconnect that. I'm gonna push that down and wiggle that connector off. Just like so. We want to go ahead and disconnect this connection right here. Now you want to go ahead and take this and turn it. Now there's a little tab right here. If we turn it up to the other side, it unlocks, and then pull this back. Just like so. Now underneath we have an aluminum support bracket holding our intercooler in place. Now at either end is going to be one 15mm bolt here and one on the other side. Now the unit itself is held in with these rubber grommets, almost like insulators, one here, one on the passenger side. We'll get that out. I just threaded that back in just a couple threads. Now I'm working this out a little bit and back in, back and forth to go ahead and get it loose. Now, as we do this here, the intercooler is going to want to drop. So I left the other bolt in. I'm going to loosen this one here while holding the bracket up. Put in just a couple threads. You can see that intercooler is starting to drop. Now I'm going to push the intercooler grommets up and out. We're going to let bracket out while holding that intercooler up there. You can swing this. And that wire harness that we disconnected, we do have little trim buttons up here we need to pop out. One there, and then there's one a little bit further back here. All right, once we get that wire harness disconnected, you can drop the intercooler down. Now the wire harness itself is held in place by these two little plastic retainers. You can use a couple different tools. You can use your trim tool to get in behind there and pop that off. I found that if you happen to have something like this here, small hose pliers, you can reach right around and literally just grab that and pluck it right off. Makes it nice and easy. All right, before we do our reassembly, it is imperative that your seals and everything are excellent condition, clean, and prepared properly. I'm going to take our boost hoses here. I'm going to take a little bit of spray solvent, spray it on a rag, and I want to go ahead and clean the inside here. I want to make sure that there's no debris, anything like that in there that's going to create this knot to seal properly. Do it on both sides. And once you're done with this one, go ahead and grab the other one. Do the same. Now you also want to go ahead and inspect your hose clamps. If the hose clamps look rusty, they look like they're kind of messed up, you want to go ahead and replace these now. Once again, if these are loose, you're going to end up with a boost leak. The intercooler won't work properly, all that fun stuff. Go ahead and separate this hose here. Clean this. Want to inspect it for any splits or cracking, anything like that. If the tube looks like it is flaring, split, or dry cracking, replace it now. Grab the hose, squeeze it, and roll it. That's going to help if you see if there's any cracks. It might not be visible if you're just letting it sit there, but if you squeeze it, it'll stretch that rubber and you'll be able to see any splits. Ours has a little mark here, but doesn't look like it's going to be an issue. That looks like it's in good shape. Go ahead and clean this. Okay. Don't stop there. Clean your clamps. All right, another very, very important seal. Right here on the inside, there's going to be an O-ring. This O-ring seals to the intercooler itself. I'm not going to use spray solvent on that. I'm simply going to go in, wipe it down, inspect it. Look for any tears. Make sure that that rubber O-ring sticks out further than the plastic around it. Run your finger on it. Inspect for any tears, any anything deformed on there. It's in good shape. I'm going to take a little bit of silicone paste and put some of that on that O-ring. Not a lot, just a thin coat. I'm not caking it on. Take the old intercooler and want to swap over this component. We're going to use a 5/16 socket to loosen and remove the anchoring screw here. Go ahead and grab the unit, rotate it counterclockwise. Once you have that unit off, I want to go ahead and swap over the insulator gaskets here. Now there's one on each of the 4 posts. There's one here, one on the other end, and then 2 on the other side. Just going to grab those and work those off. We need to swap these over to the new component. And just do the same for the other side. Let's go ahead and install our component right here. Now this is keyed. There's a little notch on the side here. So just kind of line that up and you feel it drop in. Rotate that clockwise. Go ahead and grab that screw. Yeah, let's go ahead and snug that down. Once that bottoms out, just snug it just a tiny bit. Go ahead and install the rubber dampers or insulators here. Repeat the insulator process for the other side. Now when we install our intercooler, you want to pay attention to where we had removed that harness from. There was a clip on the back here, then the wire harness runs underneath and comes around and then it clips in right here. So there's 2 spots we need to connect that harness to now. Okay, we have the harness plugged into the front. All right, that's plugged in. I'm just going to go ahead and connect our harness right now while we're here. Press it in, you're going to feel it engage. And just hold that unit up there while we grab our bracket. All right, let's raise our bracket up into place. All right, now that we have our 2 bolts in, we can go ahead and let that release. Now we're going to gently snug this. We don't want to make it super tight. We want to make it so that the intercooler is still mobile and the bracket is being held. Now we have our plastic tube here to go on to the lower portion of the cooler. I put my clamps on and I position them so when I install these here, they're going to be corresponding and I can tighten them together. Obviously, we'll put the rubber tube on here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the intercooler mobile here. There we go. Put this together. Now, as we raise the intercooler up with the bracket, we can now install the upper portion here. Okay, we have all the ductwork installed there. Let's install our lower bolt over here. Let's get to install the upper tube here. Pop that in, twist that down, give it a little tug, make sure it's locked in, and it is. Now, when installing these here, remember, position the clamps how you want to secure them. Also take into consideration how close they are here on the intercooler and where your hose clamps are going to be. Think of the clearance that you're going to have for your ratchet. I'm going to go ahead and snug down the clamps on this here. That way there we have enough room to work. Always make sure that the hose is fully seated up against the neck. You don't want to end up with any leaks. And when tightening these here, you do want to make sure that they're pretty tight. Now we tighten down this clamp here, but we lift this one loose. That should allow us to have a little more room here to push that intercooler a little bit. Now that we have the tubes installed, let's go ahead and tighten up our bracket here. I'm going to tighten up the other side as well. Make sure that that hose is seated up against the duct, and we'll start to tighten everything down. All right, we're all tightened up over here. Let's move to the other side. Let's go and install our clamps. Once again, make sure that the ductwork is fully seated. There's a ridge on the hard plastic tube that you can feel if the rubber tube is all up against it, and it is right now. Now don't forget your locking ring here for the plastic tube. There it is. Make sure it's fully seated. You'll be able to tell that when that metal locking collar fits down flush up against the plastic tube.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.